Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna go into the cheek section of my makeup collection. So we're gonna be looking at blushers, bronzers, highlighters. Some of these items are gonna be a little surprising even for me because they've escalated quickly in the time that I've been into makeup, which is really only about 3 years. So let's get into it. So here's the overview of everything that we're gonna be discussing in my cheek product inventory. I think that this is everything. I hope I didn't miss something, but you know, if you see a different lighting later on, or if the background looks a little wonky, then I forgot something and I had to include it right here. So let's get into it kind of by categories, and let's start with face palettes. So I know that face palettes are not everybody's favorite. I think that they make a lot of sense if you want to get some variety and not have a million individual units of things. So I personally like face palettes. It also gives me some variety when I travel, which I do rather often. So I like to have them in hand and I take them when I travel. So let's start with this one because this is the oldest one. I bought this, I wanna say Black Friday 2020 or so. So this is the Zoeva Premier face palette. This was a limited edition collection, so this is not available anymore. Shades are, I actually have no idea what the shade names are. And I don't know that I can even see it. Oh no, because it's inside, of course. Okay, so here are the shades. Shades are Fame and Fortune, 1929, and Curtain Call. As you can see, the collection was themed in the Roaring 20s, so very Art Deco, which I love. So Fame and Fortune is kind of a mauve sheer, not that sheer, but rather shimmery blush. 1929 is a gold blush. It's too dark for me to use as a highlighter. And then Curtain Call looks super intimidating, but it blends really well and it's just a beautiful red matte blush. I use this a whole bunch. And I enjoy the blush formula. I haven't tried anything else from Zoeva in the blush department, but yeah, I really like this one. So smooth. Then we're moving into these two Pat McGrath face palettes. I bought them both on the holiday launch of 2021. So these are the two that came out. And this was the year that Pat McGrath released blushes. I'm having all the trouble in the world opening these. They're surprisingly hard to open. Am I even opening them in the right? No, I wasn't. Right direction, nope. There we go. Oh boy. Strong magnet. There we go. Okay, so I bought both of them. These were the two that were launched in 2021 because at the time I had like one mini NARS Orgasm X and that was all the blush that I had. So I was like, okay, let's go for it. So first we have this one, which has Divine Rose, Desert Orchid, and Golden Nectar? Golden Nectar. So two blushes, one highlighter. I know that this year she changed the holiday face palettes and it's like 4 blushes and 1 highlighter. Far too much for me. But these are absolutely beautiful. Divine Rose is beautiful. Desert Orchid might be the most beautiful blush shade ever made. I am in love with it. I have deep feelings for Desert Orchid. Absolutely love it. I've had this for like over a year and I use it a lot, and the pan embossing hasn't really suffered that much. Like you can still see it pretty clearly. So there's the one. And then we have this other one, which is like bolder colors. Love Struck, Paradise Venus, and Venus Nectar. So again, bolder, more pigmented blushes. I would say Paradise Venus, the middle one, is probably the one that I use the most. But when you want bolder colors, it's definitely a great option. I think the Pat McGrath blush formula is really, really, really good. Highlighter formula, also really, really good. I would say I'm not as in love with it as maybe other people are, but maybe I haven't used these highlighters enough to really put it to the test. I use other highlighters in my collection, maybe more than these ones. So that's it for Pat McGrath face palettes. And then we have this beauty, the Hourglass Ambient Light palette that was released on holiday this year. This is the Tiger packaging and it's the Tiger or the deeper skin tone version. So let's try to open that. There it is. So you have 3 blush shades, 1 highlighter, 1 finishing powder, and 1 bronzer. That's the way I use it. And I think it works really, really well for medium deep skin tones. I haven't really seen it in like super deep skin tones, but I actually think that for once Hourglass did a great job at creating something that deep skin tones can use. I took this on my trip to New York in December, used it every day, and I'll be taking it in my next 2 trips. So I'm going to Greece at the end of the week, and then I'm going to Abu Dhabi to recover from the Greece trip because one is with students. And this is the face palette that I'm taking for cheek products. This is the only thing that I'm taking. I love this thing. The packaging is beautiful. I love the tigers. I love the metal in the palette. I wish that these were refillable pans, that like next year when they release another holiday palette, I could replace some of these pans with something else. I hope that that's the direction where Hourglass is going, but this is beautiful. If you didn't get it, honestly, get it. It's one of the few items that I paid full price for last year, and I do not regret it. Beautiful. Let's go with cream blushes next, because this is a category that I was very hesitant to include in my collection. I wasn't sure that cream blush was for me. After trying a couple different formulas, I've realized that yes, it is. I just have to keep working on the colors, because not every color that I have here is my best possible shade. First off, we have the Sephora Flush Blush in Coral Sunrise. This is like a mousse formula, which I don't love because it moves a lot. If you have oily skin, don't get this. It's gonna move around like crazy in your cheeks. But the color is really beautiful, and it's been a good opportunity to try cream blush and decide if it's for me. So I'm using it up right now because I'm trying to do a few more days of like light coverage makeup and using cream products. It sets very well with one of those more orangey coral Hourglass blushes in the face palette that I just showed you. So I'm gonna use it up. I think I'm like halfway through, and then I'm probably gonna replace it with a cream blush formula that I like more. The top 2 candidates are Glossier and Charlotte Tilbury. Then we have this spicy lady, the Nudestix Nudies Matte in Picante. Super recommended by Kathleen Lights. So, and I already love Nudestix, so I was like, ooh, this looks good. This is gonna look like toasted, sunburn. It's gonna look really pretty, and it does. It is very pigmented, so you have to be careful with it. I personally loathe this little brush on the bottom. I used it once and I hated it, so I've never used it since. But I would definitely try more colors of this formula because it is really, really good. It sets really well, doesn't move things around, and it has pretty good lasting power. Then we have the Tower 28 cream blushes. What's the name of these? Let's see. Tower 28 Beach Please in Magic Hour. So I bought this in a set with the pistachio lip gloss. And I thought, honestly, that this wasn't gonna be very visible on my skin, but it is, at least when I'm not super exposed to the sun and I'm not super tan. So it's not the best possible color for me. I personally like blush to be a little bit more accentuated. I like to wear heavier blush most of the time. So for this to work that way, I either need to set it with a powder blush on top, the Hourglass works very well, or I have to pack it on quite a bit, but it is pretty sticky and I have curly hair that goes everywhere. So I have to be careful how I wear it. I would try other colors in the future for sure. So this is a formula that I enjoy. So these are a few cream blushes that I've acquired recently. I didn't really have very many until now, and then these have come into my collection, I don't know, 6 weeks ago? Something like that. So with this, I feel like I have a pretty good selection of cream blushes to work through, and a few more shades that are a little bit more spring summery. So let's go through them. So here we have both an e.l.f. Luminous Putty Blush and then an e.l.f. Putty Blush. So one is a luminous finish, one is a matte finish. The Luminous Putty Blush on the left is the shade Isla del Sol, and the Putty Blush on the right is the shade Fiji. The luminous one is definitely a more sheer finish than the Putty Blush. Both of these formulas, you have to kind of work around them. You have to work to soften them a little bit before you apply to the cheeks. Most of the time I apply it with a brush. On instances where I've applied with a sponge, they sometimes look a little patchy. Then we have two Melt Cosmetics blush lights. The shade in the left is Sandy Cheeks and the shade in the right is Pink Sands. Both really nice and creamy, can be sheared really easily, are very buildable. Lasting power is not bad. They're not gonna lift foundation from the bottom or mess with any of the other products. Pretty satisfied with these. I'm a little surprised that they're not more popular given that cream blushes are kind of everywhere now, and I really appreciate how different these shades are. And then we have a Glossier Cloud Paint in the shade Spark. This is the most pigmented blush I have ever tried. You need very, very, very little. As you can see, it's a pretty red shade, and yeah, it is the shade that you see in the packaging, but with one tiny little drop, you can shear it real well in the back of your hand, then apply with a sponge, and you'll get a really, really, really nice finish. But it is the most pigmented thing I have ever seen. And then lastly, we have this Stila convertible color in Magnolia. Let me open it. There. I thought that this was gonna be like nice and lovely and mauvey on my skin, but it's not. This barely shows up on me, barely. I've used it and I keep using it, but in order for it to show up more, I have to set it with a powder that really enhances the color. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the formulation. This is just not my color, but I bought it with so much hope. So as you can see, my cream blushes are a work in progress. Again, I'm planning on buying a couple of the Glossier Cloud Paints and the Charlotte Tilbury, the new matte ones. I'm probably gonna hold on until the spring savings event at Sephora. I hope they don't sell out everywhere. To buy a few of them so that I can have like more cream blush in my collection, because I really do think that for the summer they're great. Oh, excuse my Halo Glow setting powder that is back there, haha. Okay, let's move on to single powder blushes. I only have these two, both from Becca. Rest in peace, you are missed. And actually I bought them both at the Becca closing sale. So one's a full size, one's a mini. Let me open them up so I can show you. So this is Camellia by Becca, a beautiful, shiny, glowy pink blush that is very, very easy to modulate. I think this could be comparable, probably, because I haven't tried it, to that Dior blush that people keep showing on like TikTok and stuff. Because the shades I think are very, very similar. So when I want like a pink, bubbly, perky color, this is what I use. It's the only true pink blush that I have right now, and it is a shimmery blush. I would love to try like a matte version of the same color. I have my eye on the Persona one in Bubble to buy in the future, but this is a beautiful pink blush. Too bad that you can't buy Becca anymore, but it's a beautiful shimmery pink. And then we have this super pigmented shade, which is Nightingale, also from Becca. Go light on this. Guys, go light on this. It's very, very pigmented. You do get quite a bit of kick up. I don't know if that's because the blush is old or what it is, but you do get a lot of kick up. So tread lightly, but it is a really beautiful berry mauve blush if that's the moment that you want. I really, really enjoy it. I just have to tread lightly. Let's briefly move on to bronzers, because it's not a category where I have a lot, so we can knock this up pretty quickly. First, let's go with this guy, the Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow, which actually doesn't have any of the products from this in the component anymore, because I finished the highlighter over the holiday and then I finished the bronzer earlier. So this bronzer that you see in here is a super smushed and disgusting Milk Makeup mini bronzer in Baked. So as you can see, I'm almost done with it. It's really more of a contour on me, but I just smushed it in there because it stopped twisting. Please don't judge me for my disgusting repotting, repressing job. It's pretty bad, so it just needs to be finished. Then we have this guy. This is the NARS Cream Bronzer in Laguna 03. That's what it looks like. It looks really deep. It doesn't go as deep if you go lightly. This is very pigmented. watch out. Okay, be careful when you apply this because it is very pigmented. But once you apply it and you start blending, beautiful, beautiful. NARS knocked it out of the park with this one. I love this. This is gonna be my bronzer that is gonna start traveling with me because I feel like this type of pot travels better than some of the other components that I have. Then we have the Charlotte Tilbury, what is this called? Beautiful Skin Cream Bronzer. What shade is this? Let's see. I have the shade 3, Tan. In my opinion, not the easiest to open. Oh no, there it is. So there you go. So I have used this. Don't think that I haven't used it. I bought this in the NARS in the Sephora Fall Savings event. What I do is that I just go like around the rim so that I can keep the embossing for a little while. Again, same thing as the NARS, very pigmented, but I feel like this one is even easier to blend than the NARS. Love the finish on this one. And then last but not least, we have the only powder bronzer in my collection that is like a single. This is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Bronzer. Is that what it's called? Yeah, in medium dark. I have to force myself to not use this. This is beautiful. Why are people not talking about this bronzer? I don't understand. I feel like nobody talks about this powder bronzer and it's so good. It's so good. It really is. So yeah. Beautiful finish, blends super easy, doesn't make you look too orange. It just makes you look tan, you know? Like you've been outside having spritzes with your friends in the Italian coast or whatever dream you have of looking tan and beautiful. This does it. I love this one. I absolutely love it. Great formula. Last but not least, we're gonna go with highlighters. That's everything I have. It might not seem like a lot to you, but hear me out. I didn't even know what highlighter was until mid-2020. So to me, this is rather alarming. How have I ended up with all of these highlighters in less than 3 years? How did this happen? I'm not sure, but I love them. I actually love highlighter. So yeah, I'm gonna keep buying highlighters. Not right now, but I'm gonna keep buying highlighters. Okay, let's start with this guy. This is what I bought when I wanted to see if highlighter was for me and if I could actually make use of it without looking like a complete fool. This is what I bought. This is the e.l.f. Glow Gleam Beam palette in dark. There it is. Okay, so this is like the version for deeper skin tones. Not sure if this is still a thing anymore. So you see that there are 2 shades that are not there. So this was a super chunky glitter. It broke when it was delivered to me. I repressed it and then it broke again in a move, I think. So I just got rid of it. And then this was another shade, I don't even remember the shade, that gave me an allergic reaction. So I think it gave me an allergic reaction. So I just got rid of it to be safe. This shade is too dark for me. It makes me look like someone punched me, like I have a bruise in my face, so I don't really use it. I've used it before, but I don't really use it, and I don't really like using these gold shades as blush, like I don't do that. This shade is pretty, but it's my least used one of the palette. It just has a yellow on it that doesn't really go well for me. And then this is a more champagne-y shade, and this is like a rose gold shade. This is the one that I use the most. So I'm hoping that maybe I can hit pan on those 2 shades and then I'm gonna call it a day with this palette. But it served its purpose of teaching me how to use highlighter and not spending a lot of money in the process. All right, let's move on to the Becca Lude. So I bought all of these during the Becca closing sale. I bought minis because I really think that minis are a pretty decent size for a highlighter. I really don't think that you need big sizes for highlighters because it takes forever to use one up. So I just bought these 4, and these are the, you know, the shimmering skin perfector. Is that what they're called? Something like that. This is Champagne Pop, the shade that I think everybody has if you're like a beauty person. Then this is Rose Quartz, I'm pretty sure. No, Rose Gold, sorry, Rose Gold. Then we have Moonstone. This is like lighter than Champagne Pop, but I really like it. And then this should be Opal. Yes, And there it is, kind of a more pearlescent shade. I've used this a whole bunch. Really like those. I know that now you can buy some of those on Smashbox, like some of them kind of survived and are now. And then let's wrap things up with liquid highlighters, which I think is my favorite formulation for highlighters. I think it's what gives you the most natural finish, and I think it's the most buildable kind of highlighter. So I have these 5. This is a full size, this is a mini, this is a mini, this is a full size, this is a crayon, and this is a mini. So let's see what we got here. Becca Ignite Impassion. This is like a rose gold shade. This is beautiful. One of my favorites. Really beautiful. I have it in the big size. And then I have this mini. So this one I take traveling sometimes. This is my focus highlighter right now. Let's call it that way. It's the Beauty Crop Glow Milk. It's supposed to be like a body shimmer for, yeah, illuminating milk for face and body. I just use it as a liquid highlighter, okay? And what's the name of this shade? Does this have a name? Let's see. It's like Date Night or something. But as you can see, I've had this for a while and it's getting really grubby. Date Night? Blind Date is what it is. It's really tiny in the bottom. This is really pretty, blends really well, doesn't enhance texture, and the Beauty Crop is pretty affordable. So I would suggest taking a peek at this, or if you want like a body shimmer, this would work really nicely. You can't quite see it right now because I've moved it around, but I have maybe like a 1/4 of this bottle left. So my hope is to finish it by the end of the academic year and, you know, move on to greener pastures, which is probably gonna be that Becca. Then we have this Thrive Cosmetics highlighter in, does it have a shade name? Yes, Stella. Stella, there it is. So, looks like so. Please focus. Oh, look at me doing the beauty YouTuber thing with my hand. But that's what it looks like. It's kind of like a golden pink, rosy gold kind of color. Not the easiest to use, but I think it's drying out. I do like to use it as an inner corner highlight because since it's a pencil, it's easy to apply in that area. I'm also using it for like the tip of my nose right now and like the bridge of my nose, although I don't really know why I bother wearing highlighter in the bridge of my nose because I wear glasses, so nobody sees them. Last but not least, we have the 2 newest highlighters to my collection, which are these minis of the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wands. This is Spotlight and Pinkgasm. This little set came out for holidays, so that's when I bought them. Haven't opened Pinkgasm yet, using Spotlight heavily right now. I think that this is a great way to try these products out because, you know, Charlotte Tilbury is a higher price point and you will use up a mini. I think it's reasonable to think that you will use up a mini, but you get the same packaging that you would get in the full-size product, and it works just as well as the full-size product. Keep your eye out for a video on my channel on a case for the minis because I advocate for buying minis. I don't mind buying minis. I don't think it's as wasteful as people think it is, but really glad to have tried these. Really glad to have these minis in my collection. Will I buy the full sizes? Yeah, probably. At some point, I will. But yeah, this is where my cheek products are at the moment. Really happy with everything that I have. If you are still here at the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. If there are other parts of my collection that you would like to see, leave it down in the comments. If you're so inclined, subscribe for more content on a real person's makeup collection and how she loves to find sparkle through the beautiful things in the beauty space. I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.